Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Ben's Britain, where I look at something interesting about my country. And on today's episode, it's something really crucial to the people of London. It's the London Underground, the network of underground trains which gets people from A to B. But before I tell you all about the tube, as it's known, let's have a look at some vocabulary, some key words that we'll be using in today's episode. So on your screen now, you will see a list of words that I'll be using in the episode. I've just given you the words, but no definitions. So I want you to try to listen out for these words and understand them based on the context. So see if you can understand what they mean from the context in which they are used. And then at the end of the episode, we'll take a look back and talk about what they mean and how I used them. So if you want to pause this video so that you can take a good look through all of these words, then do that now, and then you can continue the video when you are ready. In London, it's not the metro or the subway, it's the tube or the underground. At first glance, it's a complex spider's web in which you're going to get lost. Daunting as it may seem, the London Underground is a thing of beauty, helping millions of Londoners get around the city. Each line has its own character, its own personality, and Londoners have their favourites, depending on the size of the carriage, the stations it passes through. I love the spacious Metropolitan line trains, which fly past the Jubilee line trains that have to stop at the less popular stations. I pride myself on my ability to choose the fastest routes and to know the little secrets of the underground, which I'm not going to share with you today. My nearest underground station is on the Northern Line, which is the black line that takes you from the north of London to the south. It can be a bit complicated for people new to the underground because there are parts where it divides into two branches. So you have to make sure you're getting on the right train, otherwise you might end up in the wrong place. It's called the Underground, but actually part of the network are overground. I start my journey into central London overground, and after 10 minutes we go underground. There are parts of the journey which are not pleasant, where the noise of the train shooting through the tunnel can make your ears feel like they're bursting. People often cover their ears and make faces of discomfort. And during rush hour, I'd rather be anywhere else but on a busy tube, especially during a heat wave. But if you're able to be more selective about when you travel into London, you can get a seat in a relatively empty carriage and your journey will be much more bearable. A journey on a London Underground train also gives you a snapshot of life in London. There are people travelling to work, to meet friends. There are tourists heading to Big Ben and the London Eye and Buckingham Palace. And on every train you travel on, there is someone with a different skin colour, from a different country, speaking a different language. You're in one of the most multicultural cities in the world. You are in London. And that's exciting, even for someone born and bred in the city. The Underground keeps London moving, gets people from A to B, and will always carry with it the famous line, "Please mind the gap." Okay, how was that for you? How much of that did you understand? Well, hopefully you understood the majority of it. And did you hear and understand the keywords that I gave you at the start? Well, let's take a look back at them now and look at the context in which they were used. So we'll look at the first two together, at first glance and spider's web, because they came in the same sentence. So right at the start, I said, at first glance, it's a complex spider's web in which you're going to get lost. So at first glance means when looking for the first time. And a spider's web is a network of threads constructed by a spider. Okay, the next word is daunting. So I said, daunting as it may seem, the London Underground is a thing of beauty. So daunting means scary and difficult. The next word was to pride. So this is a verb. So we've got the adjective, proud, and we've got the noun, pride, and then we've got this, which is a verb, to pride. And it's used in the reflexive, to pride myself, or he prides himself. So here I said, I pride myself on my ability to choose the fastest routes. So if I pride myself in something, it means I am proud of myself because of this. Okay, next we've got the word branch. I was telling you about the Northern Line and how it divides into two branches. So a branch is a subdivision extending from the main part of a river, a road, or in this case, a railway. So you have one main part and then it extends out into two parts. And this part is a branch and this part is a branch. Okay, next is burst. So I was telling you about the experience of being on the London Underground. I said that when you're going through the tunnel, your ears feel like they're bursting. So to burst means to break open and apart suddenly. Okay, let's look at the other keywords now. Rush hour. So I really don't like traveling on the tube during rush hour. I said during rush hour, I'd rather be anywhere else but on a busy tube. So rush hour is the time at which people travel to or from work. So it's around 8 till 9 o'clock in the morning, 5 till 6 in the afternoon. That sort of time is rush hour. The next word is bearable. So I said that if you are traveling on an empty carriage, your journey will be much more bearable. So the word bearable means manageable, something which you can cope with. The opposite of bearable is unbearable. It's terrible. You cannot cope. Okay, the next word was snapshot. So I said a journey on a London Underground train also gives you a snapshot of life in London. A snapshot is a quick look or summary of something. Okay, next, born and bred. I said it's very exciting to be in London, even for someone born and bred in the city. So born and bred means born and raised. So I grew up in London. And the last two words, mind the gap, the famous line, which if you've ever been on a London Underground train, I'm sure you've heard. Please mind the gap, mind the gap. So to mind something, that means to be careful of. And the gap, well, that's the space in an object or between two objects. So in the case of the London Underground, it's the train and the platform. Mind the gap. Okay, hopefully those words are clear and you understood most or all of today's episode. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Ben's Britain.